Temple is shutting its doors to all in-person classes, and breaking news as the AAC is shutting down as well.
We will update you on how the coronavirus is impacting Temple athletics, and that includes team coverage from the AAC tournament in Fort Worth, Texas. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello, Owl fans, and welcome inside of TV Studio 3. I'm Adam Canali, and joining me on the desk for the first time as an OwlSports Update anchor is Ray Dunn, sitting in for JJ Mahowski, who is down in Texas with the Temple Band.
We're starting off with unprecedented moves by the Temple administration and the American Athletic Conference in response to the coronavirus.
First, what's going on campus?
University President Richard Englert announced on Wednesday night that Temple will move to online learning the rest of the semester. He says, "To the Temple community, we have several important updates regarding measures we are taking to keep our Temple University community healthy and safe amid the spread of COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. As we have said in the past, we are focused on ensuring the health and safety of our community members and on the successful completion of our students' spring semester. To that end, we are implementing this social distancing strategy to address the concerns surrounding the coronavirus. Therefore, Temple University's U.S. campuses will end in-person instruction on Friday, March 13th. We will begin online and alternative learning methods on Monday, March 16th, which will continue through the end of the spring semester."
Now for the athletics side. Within the last hour, the university announced in-season spring sports will continue, but the school will do it without fans in attendance, and all varsity sports playing in their off-season, such as soccer and football, will be suspended for at least the next 2 weeks. And the football team's Cherry and White Fan Fest on April 4th has also been called off. From Temple to Texas, major changes to the AAC men's basketball tournament as we mentioned. The AAC has announced that they will not play any of their tournament, and that means that there will be no games being played. The AAC, as long as it could, on Wednesday, announced that the conference closed off the men's tournament to fans, and just minutes ago, as mentioned, they closed it off to everyone. The tournament is canceled. With this news, we bring in OwlSports Updates anchor Dan Wilson, who is in Fort Worth with the team.
How's it going, guys?
Thank you, Dan, for joining us. So you found out just moments ago with the rest of us about what was happening down there in Fort Worth. Can you update us on what you've heard and what is going on down there on the scene in Texas?
Yeah, so kind of like you said, an unprecedented 24 hours here in Texas. We arrived yesterday morning. We were at the arena, and everything seemed to be going as planned. And last night, the news comes out that the NCAA will shut off the NCAA tournament, both on the men's and women's side, to fans, and then the conferences follow. So that is something key to note here, that the individual conferences make their own decisions separate from the NCAA in terms of the NCAA championships and their individual conference championships. And then just this morning, with the tournament, slated to kick off in just a couple of hours, the AAC, along with a number of other conferences, including the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, deciding to shut this off completely. As last night, the NBA decided to suspend its season. Among the news that Jazz players Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell had contracted the coronavirus, and so I think that's really what you're seeing here. Originally, it was try and continue playing these games but close it off to the public, and now it's just these players could have it too. This is not a situation where they feel it's safe to be playing games. The Ivy League was way ahead of the curve earlier in the week, just shutting off the tournament completely. So you're seeing the gradual steps unfold here in Fort Worth.
It's of personal concern for you, and I know Courts in Session producer Kevin Rice is down there with you. How are you guys feeling with regards to travel and how everything's being handled in that space right now down there in Texas?
Yeah, we're washing our hands very, very often, to say the least. We're taking every caution necessary. We have obviously done some number of things that would, put us at risk. We were on a flight yesterday, and we were kind of out and about towards the arena, and I've had contact with a number of these players recently. So trying to keep ourselves, as isolated and as clean as possible. And fortunately, we're not in the specific age demographic that is considered to be at high risk for this, but never can be too sure. You saw what happened among NBA players who are really not that much older than we are.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Dan, for joining us. I'm sure you'll have plenty of updates coming from Texas as the situation continues to develop. Now, back here in the studio, we had a whole AAC tournament bracket prepared to preview, but no tournament going on as per the release in the last hour. So just taking a look at this bracket right here, what are your expectations for who in the AAC is going to get in and who really is in trouble after not being able to play in the tournament?
Well, clearly, first of all, we know Temple is completely in trouble. They had a very slim to none chance of making the NCAA tournament. Their only hope was winning the entire tournament, right? That shot's gone. Temple season is over. You look at the teams with the bye week, right? That's the first teams that you have to look at as potential teams that are making the NCAA tournament. If that continues, we don't know if there's going to be more news to come with NCAA tournament as well. As we know, their games were going to be without fans to begin with. AAC did the same thing, but then they had a recent breaking news that there will be no games, period. Could follow suit with the NCAA tournament. You look at some of these games with the bye week. I know Houston is a big team on the bubble to get into the tournament. You got to look at Cincinnati. They were in the tournament last year. They're the 1 seed again this year for the AAC. I believe they won it last year, the AAC tournament. So those two teams right away stand out as teams that could still make the NCAA tournament, but this is going to go all off of regular season and conference resumes. This isn't going to go off of any tournament whatsoever with the AAC. So for these teams, any team I would say that doesn't have a bye is completely out of the NCAA tournament chances.
I would say Memphis still has a bit of a chance due to the hype with that impressive at Chunhwa. That team, very talented. I thought that their win against ECU that probably would have came later today, that game against Tulsa probably would have ended up being more of a bracket bubble type of game. Winner probably moving on, loser probably just sticking it around in the NIT. Now, no chance that game's being played. There's a lot that's going to be decided, I would assume, with the way that the Ivy League handled their situation in canceling the tournament, giving it to the number 1 team in the conference, that you're going to see Cincinnati get the at-large bid. Again, that's an assumption. We don't have any information on that as of yet, but I would believe that Cincinnati is going to be the team at-large for the AAC.
Yeah, but that's all hypothetical as we know, but hey, we still got more sports to get to. We got some highlights to get to as well with how Temple finished their regular season off coming up, but for now, this was the AAC bracket, but no more. No games will be played for the AAC tournament.
So how about we take a look at those highlights from the end of the season. Get started. Hooter the Owls' birthday on March 1st against USF had mascots showing out. The Owls get off to a slow start. Michael Durr there, one of his 3 blocks on the other end. Antun Marcevich gets that layup to go. Jake Forrester finishing up the glass there. Back and forth battle through the first half. The Owls trailed 33-25 at the half. And a quick shout out to Temple Athletics. This baby race, absolutely an incredible idea. Baby number 7 taking home the hardware, getting the interview. A great look, great story for the future. Nate Pierre-Louis slamming one home as the Owls get it going to start the second half. However, it did not last. The team would end up going the last 4 minutes of the half without a field goal, losing the game 64-58 despite 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists from Nate Pierre-Louis.
And on to the final game of the season for the Owls against Tulsa. It was senior night at the Leah Core Center, and early on, a senior made sure he was noticed. Check out this for the first basket of the game off the miss from Quentin Rose. Damian Moore put back slam with authority. Moore tied a career high with 10 rebounds and set a new career high with 6 of them at the offensive end. Here's the bright side for the future to look at in the years to come on the fast break. Josh Pierre-Louis, he'll only be a sophomore next year, still have another year with his brother Nate. But then, when it matters most, Temple gets cold. Tulsa was up at one point by 20 points in just the second half. You see Damian Moore there on the bench, and he wasn't alone as other seniors that you'll see right here, Quentin Rose and Alani Moore, checking out for the final time on North Broad. Final score in this one was 61-51, Tulsa. And after Tulsa came the regular season finale. Despite 19 points from Quentin Rose, the Owls were not able to survive the second half onslaught by that number 1 ranked Cincinnati Bearcats led by senior guard Jerron Cumberland. falling 64-63. Temple ran into the half with a double-digit lead while holding Cincy to just 17 points. But the Bearcats came back with 47 points in the final 20 minutes for the win. With the loss, the Owls ended the regular season at 14-17 overall, just 6-12 in the conference.
The 8th-seeded women's team traveled to Connecticut for the AAC tournament last week to take on number 9 ECU. The Owls led most of the way and sunk the Pirates by a final of 67-57. Temple was fueled by 24 points and 12 boards from Mia Davis. The reward for taking down ECU, a date with the top seed UConn Huskies. After a back-and-forth first quarter, UConn ran away with this one, outscoring the Owls by 17 in the second quarter. Temple had no answer for the Huskies' sharpshooting, allowing UConn to shoot better than 53% from three-point range for the game in the 94-61 loss.
Overall, it was a mixed season for the women. Yes, they improved their win total by 5 over last season, but in conference play, the Owls were just 7-9. And that included ending the regular season with a 4-game losing streak, not to mention 7 losses in their last 10 games. With the core of Davis, Jones, and Mackin still intact, the Owls could be poised for a strong run next season, especially when you mentioned that, you're considering that UConn, who's been the front runner, won't be there as the Huskies move to the Big East next season.
We'll have a little bit more on hoops later as we join the Parliament, but for now, we're going to have to take our first break. There's still plenty to get to with a busy spring break on campus as tennis, lacrosse, and fencing were all in action.
Plus, when we come back, the gymnastics team performs on the mat, but the team is also the creators and performers on a show that airs on multiple social media platforms. Find out more when OwlSports Update returns.
All of us coaches, you read what we say, but you don't really know who we are.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update, and more from our top story on the coronavirus and Temple athletics. There aren't too many parts of Temple right now where we can say it's business as usual, and football is one of those sports. As mentioned, spring practice started on Tuesday, but today the university announced all fall sports working out in the spring will suspend their workouts for the next 2 weeks. And for fans, the 2020 Cherry and White Fest is no more.
Switching gears from the pads to the mats, it's time for some gymnastics. It was senior day at Pearson and McGonigal on Sunday against Ursinus, and the Owls brought their A game. Temple scored a season-high 195.575 in the win. The score was the 3rd best in program history. Coach Nielsen said the biggest compliment he could give to those seniors is that he doesn't want to have to replace them when they graduate. Final score, 195.575 to 185.775 Temple. Before senior day, the Owls had the Terrapin Invitational in Maryland. Temple finished 3rd in the 5-team meet, finishing behind host Maryland and Yale. The Owls did set a program record on vault, but it wasn't enough. Maryland led the way, scoring 196.975, which was more than 2 points higher than any other team in the Invitational. While the season is wrapping up, but the gymnastics team has been a multi-talented group this season with a social media presence that moves beyond the mats and the meets, right?
Joining us on the desk is OwlSports Update's Courtney Murphy to talk about how the women are their best promoters. Hey, Courtney.
Hey, guys. As a way to increase fan knowledge, the Temple women's gymnastics team created a social media series, Tug Talk. They want to connect with fans on a more personal level and educate them about the world of gymnastics.
In their own way, the women's gymnastics team developed a form of marketing through content creation. It's called Tug Talk, which is now in its 2nd season. It's the team's way of giving fans and families a look behind the scenes.
Because I wanted to find a way that we could get publicity, and she came up with the idea. I can't take any credit for it at all.
That she is Jackie Turpak, a sophomore member of the team who does all the editing and creation to the weekly pieces.
Usually we interview Josh, and he kind of explains the meet overall and then just says like who we're going to highlight. And then I interview the gymnast or group or whoever that we are highlighting.
Using a DSLR camera, an iPad, and a lot of editing with Final Cut Pro, they are able to create minute to 2 minute pieces highlighting a gymnast and the meet within the past week. The gymnast that is highlighted feels an extra form of appreciation.
And I think when you are spotlighted on a Tug Talk, you get to see what you did and how well you did, and really feel good about it. Josh says a lot of people last season really liked it, and said would make comments about it to him and stuff.
Coach Nilsson is most grateful for the hundreds of fans that tune in weekly, learning the human aspect the team has.
We're on bars. It shows personality. All of us coaches, you read what we say, but you don't really know who we are. It's not about me, but I do think it's nice for recruits to see that I'm just a normal person.
Tug Talk Tuesdays increased the team's social media following from 1,000 to over 5,000 followers in a year. Jackie will continue to produce the segments till her senior year. Reporting from the news desk, I'm Courtney Murphy.
Thank you so much, Courtney. It's time for us to take another break. Don't you change that channel. There's still plenty to get to.
The coronavirus impact hit the lacrosse team Wednesday night as the women played Nova with fans on the outside looking in.
And much like the football team, soccer had a big spring season scheduled. We'll tell you all about it when OwlSports Update comes right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The women's tennis team did a little traveling over break, playing 2 away matches. Friday, the Owls edged out a close 4-3 win against Georgetown in D.C., winning 4 singles and a double. Saturday in Annapolis, Temple went up against 14-2 Navy, and it was a different story at this match. Navy swept the Owls 4-0. Temple now stands at 6-5, heading into Friday's meet against hometown rival Villanova. On to the men's side, where the Owls were up and down. A shutout at the hands of Memphis. The Owls rebounded in a win at Georgetown, but a Navy team that is now 14-5 on the year stopped Temple 4-1. Juan Arauz was the only winner for the Owls in his singles match. Temple falls to a record of 4-5 this season. The men will host Bucknell on Sunday. Over to another sport in its spring season, but not one you would normally think of. The men's soccer team, which competes in the fall, is off and running, but now suspended for 2 weeks. But joining us live from the Temple Sports Complex with more is OwlSports Update's Bella Diamore. Hey, Bella.
Thanks, Adam. With the 2-week stoppage for the men's soccer team, this will put a hold on what was supposed to be a tough season of soccer competition.
It may be spring, but this off-season feels a lot like the regular season for the men's soccer team. The spring includes a schedule of 5 games, and the Owls are playing some of the tougher teams in the Northeast.
Anytime we schedule, we're just looking to challenge our group as much as possible, whether it's fall or spring. So this spring, we looked for games that could ask us questions in different ways and good quality opponents.
Some of the competitors include Penn State, which is a traditionally ranked team, along with Big Five rival Drexel University. Coming off their 2019 season, the Owls finished 3-2 in the conference and had an overall record of 8-8.
As Roland's program has improved, he looks to up the competition in the spring schedule, which he hopes will prepare the team for the fall season.
We train a lot more than we do in the fall, so we have a lot more time to work on some of our identity. And for some of these guys, this is the most training we've been able to do. A lot of them are just only here in the fall, or just got here, I should say, last fall. So it really helps us shape ideas and concepts as a group.
We still have to work a lot on some aspect of the game, like finishing, like improve our passing and work as a team and do positive communication. But otherwise, yeah, the spring is really long, so we have a lot of time to improve our skills.
The core of the group is here, and the team is looking to grow from their previous season.
If it only turns into a 2-week suspension, the Owls' next possible game will be against Loyola, Maryland on March 28th. I'm Bella Diamore reporting live from Temple Sports Complex. Ray, back to you.
Thanks, Bella. Last Saturday, lacrosse facing UMBC. The Retrievers strike first for 2 goals and go up 2-0 early. But Megan Hoffman and Belle Mastropietro respond for the Owls. UMBC briefly going to take the lead here before the half with this Olivia Dokel goal. but the game goes into halftime tied. Temple took over after that. Bridget Whitaker and Olivia Thompson, both you saw right there, scored 3 goals apiece as the Owls defeat the Retrievers 10-7, winning their 4th game in a row to improve to 5-3.
The Wildcats. The Owls came out extremely slow, trailing at the half 12-3. But the Owls stormed back, outscoring Nova 8-1 in the second half. But it wasn't enough. Final score 13-11. Elle Macro-Pietro, Megan Hoffman, and Bridget Whitaker all recorded hat tricks in the losing effort.
The Owls fencing team competed at the NCAA Mid-Atlantic South Regional Saturday in Durham, North Carolina. Senior fencer Mila He finished 2nd place in saber, the highest ranking of all the Owls, and advanced to the meets finals along with 8 of her teammates. He, Carrie Plunkett, Ariana Adfin, Margarita Calderero, and Naomi Ross all were selected to move on to the NCAA Championships, which are scheduled for March 19th and 20th in Detroit. It's time for one more break, but there's still plenty to get to. Women's track set a program record at the Indoor AAC Championships. Plus, I'll get a chance to jump into everybody's favorite segment.
That's right. When we come back, we'll get a chance to join my parliament this week in regards to the recent news about the coronavirus and the NCAA tournament. OwlSports Update will be back in 90. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Well, it's time for Join My Parliament, and we're diving right back into the coronavirus news. As we talked about, Ray, the NCAA, they announced that there won't be any fans in the stands for their games, but now with the recent breaking news about the AAC tournament no longer even playing games after originally saying the same deal of just no fans and only, important personnel, essential personnel for the games. I truly believe my parliament this week, and I want to know if you want to join, is the NCAA as a whole for the March Madness tournament and other conference tournaments should also at least postpone this NCAA March Madness tournament, because this coronavirus, it's a big deal, and you're seeing it all over the world right now.
Absolutely. I think that they need to take the steps to postpone the tournament, not cancel it. I'm not suggesting that they cancel March Madness, but postpone it, push it off until we have more information. This is a relatively new virus. It's a new disease, and we all have to remember, as much as we love sports and as much as we look to it as a safe haven, right now we're seeing the intersection of the real world and sports, and we all need to take a step back and remember that March Madness is great, basketball is great, but there is so much more at stake than just a championship. There is so much more that we as a country need to figure out before we can have March Madness and have this important event that everyone loves. So I agree with you. I think it absolutely, I'm going to join your parliament this week.
Yeah, March Madness has always been a great time, Ray. We know that. I mean, you talk about the face paint, the pom-poms, everything, the bands. JJ Mahowski, who's not here today, was down there supposed to be playing the AAC tournament. But you know what? Things happen, and this is a much more important issue and something like, look at, as Dan Wilson mentioned, the NBA suspending their season, guys like Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, these are all-stars. These are real people. They have real lives.
Absolutely. And that is all we have time for on today's edition of Owl Sports Update. As the spring sports season moves forward, potentially, we will do our best to keep you updated on our social media platforms at OwlSports Update.
And that's where we will continue to post our work and our shows when available. So keep an eye out for that on social media at OwlSports Update throughout March and into April. Until then, stay smart, stay safe. For the entire crew here at OwlSports Update, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.